Getting the Google Play Store on your Nintendo Switch 2 may sound like a dream, but for those who are willing to follow a few simple steps and experiment a little, it's actually possible. The method is unconventional and it doesn't involve hacking or custom firmware. Instead, it uses a clever DNS trick to reroute your browser access and bring up a working version of the Play Store interface through your Switch's limited browser system. Before we dive into the step-by-step guide, let's talk about why you want to do this. After all, the Nintendo Switch 2 is a gaming console, not an Android phone. But here's the thing, the Switch 2 has a capable chipset. It has Wi-Fi. It has a display and decent battery life. And beneath its friendly gaming OS lies a layer of software that can be pushed just a little further if you know where to look. By rerouting its internet settings to custom DNS servers, you can unlock access to tools that aren't normally shown on the Switch's UI, including a basic web-based version of Google Search, and through that, access to the Google Play Store page. This doesn't mean you'll be installing APKs directly, or that Android games will run natively, but it opens the door to web-based interactions like remote cloud gaming, syncing tools, and browser-based Android apps. It's not perfect, but it's interesting, and for tech fans, that's reason enough to try. Let's begin with what you need. First, you need your Nintendo Switch to fully charged, or at least with enough battery to stay on for about 20 to 30 minutes. Then you need a working Wi-Fi network, preferably one you can control, like your home Wi-Fi. This is important because you'll be tweaking network settings that might not work on public or restricted networks like schools or hotels. Make sure your Switch 2 is already connected to this Wi-Fi network at least once before you start. You'll also need a bit of patience and careful reading. None of this is risky, but it requires precision. Let's walk through the actual setup. Start by going into your system settings on the Switch. Scroll all the way down to the Internet tab. Select Internet Settings. At this point, your Switch will begin scanning for Wi-Fi networks. Find the one you're already connected to and select it. A menu will pop up with options. What you want here is Change Settings. In this section, you're going to scroll down until you see DNS Settings. By default, this is set to automatic. That's how the Switch usually connects to the internet. It just lets your router or modem handle DNS routing on its own. But here's where the magic happens. Change it from automatic to manual. Once you select manual, two new input fields will appear: primary DNS and secondary DNS. You only need to change the primary DNS. Set it to this exact number, 045.055.142.122. This DNS address is what redirects your connection away from the default Nintendo server and instead takes you to a browser page that you normally wouldn't have access to on the Switch. Once you enter that DNS, leave the secondary DNS blank or leave it as it is. It doesn't matter. Now, scroll down and press Save. The system will ask you to reconnect to the Wi-Fi network. Let it do so. At this point, something interesting will happen. The Switch may fail to connect to the internet, but that's expected. You'll get a message saying it could not connect. That's actually a good sign. Why? Because instead of a standard connection, the Switch is now trying to open a browser portal. When the connection fails this way, the Switch falls back to something called captive portal mode. That's the same system hotels or airports use to let you accept terms and conditions before letting you online. But in this case, we're using that portal to open Google. After the could not connect screen, click Next or OK. The Switch will now open a web browser screen, and instead of showing Nintendo's login portal, you'll be redirected to google.com or a DNS-based web page that allows you to search the web. And now, this is where the fun really begins. In the search bar, simply type Google Play Store, press Enter. The Switch browser is limited, but it's good enough to load a simple web page. Select the first search result. It should say Google Play Apps. Once you open it, you'll see the familiar Play Store interface, though it may be in mobile view and slightly zoomed now. Is this the full Play Store like on your Android phone? No, it's a web-accessed version of the Play Store, not the app itself. But from here you can browse apps, read reviews, and even remotely install apps to other Android devices that are signed in with the same Google account. Some cloud-based Android apps like streaming platforms or browser-based games may even load partially, depending on their format. Let's take a quick breather and recap what we've done. You've gone into your Switch's internet settings. You've changed the DNS to point to a custom IP. You let the Switch fail to connect to Wi-Fi, and when it did, you used that captive portal to open up Google Search. From there, you typed Google Play Store and navigated into the mobile Play Store site right from your Nintendo Switch. It's simple, clever, and surprisingly effective. But now, let's address a few things you might be wondering.